compassion when my soul's in need. I find compassion for friends and enemies. My own compassion is where my spirit breathes. Oh.
Live from Santa Barbara, welcome to Compassionate Connection. I'm your hostess, Gigi Amor. The purpose of our show is to share with you how to communicate effectively when we choose to learn the language of compassion direct from the heart. We can transform and enrich our lives and have a much more wonderful world. Relationships. I suggest you check into this language of peace. Well, tonight we have a lot to cover. I'm so excited. We have a very special guest, Susan Allan. I'm so happy that you came back to be with us.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled too.
And I'm taking notes tonight. It's going to be a great show. You're going to share with us how to go and control fear.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
A new life starts in an hour for everybody.
I'm taking notes. Well, let me share a bit about Susan to you. Susan Allan is the founder of the Marriage Forum and America's leading marriage and divorce coach. Susan is also the author of 3 books, and she is also a certified mediator and certified in Herman brain dominance, used by 90% of the Fortune companies. Her 6-part conversation allows us to create peaceful and cooperative conversations so that all relationships can be peaceful and cooperative. Susan has been seen on Fox News and on hundreds of television and radio shows demonstrating the results we can create when we transform the way we think, listen, speak, and focus on solutions instead of on problems. Also, Susan offers a complimentary 1-hour private telephone session so that everyone can transform their business, their family, and their life. What a gift. Thank you so much, Susan, for that great introduction that just touches on all of your abilities that you really do assist people with.
Thank you, honey.
Now, I'd just like to let our audience know that on previous shows, Susan has taught us. She has taught us that the negative emotions, anger and sadness, can prevent us from reaching our goals. Tonight we are focusing on the 3rd negative emotion, fear, and how to control fear. When we are stopped by fear, as Susan describes, frozen in fear, where do we go from there? And so tonight we are going to discuss this issue, and we will get it behind us all. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Fear is a...
No more fear.
Thank you. Let's learn the skills now. I've got so much to just explore with Susan. Now, one of the first questions I have for you is, I know that you've said that fear and anger and sadness are the true addictions that can lie between every other addiction. So please, can you explain that to us?
Yeah, everyone who has an addiction, alcohol, drugs, gambling, food, multiple sex partners, all of that. The only reason you're doing it is because you feel frightened, angry, and or sad a lot of the time. If you're able to eliminate the fear, the anger, and the sadness, there's no motivation, no reason to have these addictions. Because somebody who feels happy doesn't want to take drugs, doesn't want to drink a half a bottle of vodka. You know, these behaviors don't make any sense when you feel happy.
Thank you. That's very clear. Now, what is the real cause of fear?
It's always biochemical. Forgive me, guys, I'm getting over a cold, so forgive me. When you really understand the cause of fear, the cause of anger, the cause of sadness, mostly it's not situational. Mostly it's not because something horrible just happened in your life. Usually people who are living in fear, living in anger, living in sadness, their lives may not look any different from yours or mine. But it's the way they respond and react that's the problem. And it is, in my experience, about 99% of it is biochemical.
Thank you. The perfect place for everyone to start and check into.
Yeah. Fix that, and then you make my life very easy because then I can teach you a lot of skills very quickly.
Thank you, Susan. That's number one. Now, what part does the saliva and the urine testing play in health specialists diagnosing and treating some of your clients?
You know, if they don't know why they feel so, and you know, tonight we're talking about fear, so I'll focus on fear. So if they don't know why they're feeling fear, if they don't know why they wake up in the morning feeling frightened, pervasively frightened, why they go to sleep at night feeling scared, nothing happened all day that was scary, but they just feel scared, we find out again and again and again, and this is 100% of the people that I've recommended speak to one of the experts I refer to them to, and have these testings done. 100% of them, 100% of them found that they have the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, not everyone is like somebody who just came back from war. I don't mean that. But they are not in the normal range. And when they understand this and they fix it, they have a different life very quickly.
Thank you. Boy, that's a lot of food for thought for people to pay attention to, even upon wakening.
Yeah, well, take the test. Don't think about it, just take the test. Yes.
Get the results.
That's right. And listen, I'd be happy if you're the one who, you know, you're the exception. That would be great. Feel free.
That's great. Well, I know that you personally had an interesting experience with eliminating fear yourself. And, well, I'm just curious, how did you finally let that go?
I just made a decision. I made a decision that since that hideous life-threatening divorce hadn't killed me, since all those years I was suffering with asthma, well, you know, could die in 2 minutes with asthma, that hadn't killed me. Since, you know, I'd been to India 50-odd times by then, and I came back in one piece, that hadn't killed me. I just said, I am not going to live in fear anymore. I am done. I am simply not going to live the rest of my life like that. And of course, as soon as you make that kind of a declaration, all these crazy things start to happen to test your resolve. I said, no, I'm not going to live in fear. So financial stuff came and hit me. I said, it will be fine. And business stuff came and hit me. It will be fine. And friends and stuff, it will be fine. And in about 4 months from the time I first decided that I was not going to engage in these fear-based stories anymore, the stories just stopped, by and large. Almost every one of them was gone. And has, you know, continued to be gone to this day.
I love that. What a perfect example, that determination.
Absolutely.
Of transforming it
That's
yourself,
right.
of paying attention.
That's it. I'm done. I'm not going to let that ruin my life for another day. Not one more day of my life is going to be ruined by things that happened, you know, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5 years ago. Done. And it was great. It's been great.
Oh boy, pay attention to that, that's for sure. Well, now I'm really curious, what are a few of the biggest areas of fear that torment people?
Well, you know, it depends at different areas of your life and, you know, in different ages. So, I mean, if you're a child and you're going to school and it's your first day of school coming up, then, you know, you're terrified maybe of leaving mommy, you know, and leaving home and leaving mommy and leaving, you know, what you know and where you feel safe. If you're going to India for the first time or a developing country the first time, you may have other fears, you know, certainly. Some of these fears are rational and practical. Certainly the first day of a new job would make anybody feel frightened. Financial issues, I would say, are one of the big ones. Financial issues, because, you know, it's really something. You decide to have a baby, and it's a leap of faith. You don't know if the baby's going to be 100% healthy. You don't know if you're always going to have the same amount of money that you need vis-a-vis your bills. It's a leap of faith. It's an act of faith. Adopting a pet, it's a leap of faith. Anything is really a leap of faith. And so financial issues, the only way you can really continue to prosper financially is continuing to take steps to prosper financially.
Yes.
The other thing that people are very afraid of is relationships, either to have one or not have one. So I work with people who are terrified because they can't get rid of a relationship, and I work with people who are terrified because they want one. Same deal, you know. That's why it's so silly, isn't it? So it's all a matter of using your whole brain, and what are you focused on, and what are you determined to have. And then stick with it, and don't let fear get in the way.
I love that. And one of the definitions of fear, I just have to put out there that it
Please.
usually does play out as false evidence appearing real, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Most of the time. Well, thank goodness.
That's right.
Thank goodness that most of the time the things we're afraid of aren't real. Yeah.
Okay, kids.
Imagine.
Well, for me, I make the choice of the faith versus the fear.
Right, right.
Now, what happens to people who allow themselves to drift into fear and develop a habit of seeing the whole world as frightening?
And it's interesting. People with faith do better. Because whether you think it's a crutch or you think it's real is not the point. And I'm not going to argue with you about that. But people who have faith do better because they expect wonderful things to happen. Whatever trick you have to play with your mind to expect wonderful things to happen, that's what you want to do. Because people who are angry and irritated and edgy and disappointed and argumentative and all that, their lives don't work half as well as Gigi and mine, for example. Gigi and I are always looking for the positive, looking for what we want, seeing how we can get what we want, how we can get around it, under it, over it, or through it, you know? So you've got to change your perspective. Because if you keep worrying about what you don't have today, that keeps that scenario going.
It's almost like a game of chess.
Okay.
For
okay.
me.
Wow. So getting around it that way, right?
Yes.
Figuring out what to do. Yes, it is.
The next move.
Being
the next
very
thought.
resourceful. But I love what a former client, Suzanne, said many years ago to me. She said, you know, I'm ready to have my life be easier. I'm tired of being so resourceful. And I said, that's such a great line. That's a great line.
Oh my gosh. Well, hey, the formulas work, and that's
right.
the point.
They do. They really do.
Now, this is very interesting. We all know that we attract what we think about and what we magnetize it to ourselves. So I'm curious, Susan, what really happens to people who keep living in fear? What do they attract?
Misery, suffering, horrible stuff. You don't want it, you know? If you're sitting around waiting for your job to end and to be fired, if you're sitting around expecting that your new client isn't going to pay you, if you're sitting around expecting that your husband's going to leave you or your wife's going to cheat on you, You've got more courage than I do. I don't have enough courage to think that way. Because I know if I think that way, it's going to happen.
I love that. I mean, that's a different perceptive for other people to really grasp.
Yes,
It's
yes.
so true. Think about what you really do want and don't let the mind go off into
Yes.
a place that's
Now,
not
we're
gonna be
not
helpful.
saying that we have a bright idea and then start writing checks. We're not saying that. We're not talking about magical thinking. And if you've seen enough of our shows that I've done with Gigi before, you know I am not a fan of magical thinking. At the same time, focusing on what you do want, having a high intention that what you do want is coming to you, doing everything that you possibly can about it. In fact, Fred, could you show the whole brain map for just a moment? That be okay? And thank you so much. If you look at this, then you see that what we're talking about is being highly, highly, highly functional. You have to be rational. You have to be imaginative, which is the experimental. You have to keep your feelings up, buoyant, positive, loving, joyous. And the safekeeping self, you have to work like crazy to get what you want, either get it clear in your mind or make it happen. Thank you so much, Fred. And so when people are really functional, life is wonderful.
absolutely.
When they're either negative, and negative is the lower right brain on drugs. That's my expression for it. So frightened, angry, and sad, that's that lower right brain on drugs. Or if you're living in your upper right brain, the imagination, well, that's imagination. That's all it is.
Okay, that certainly is true. I was just thinking of a little thing that I heard just yesterday, and it just explained that miracles happen in cans instead of can'ts.
Oh, cute.
So I thought that was pretty
That's
cool.
cute.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that
That's true.
positive attitude.
Absolutely true.
Now, what if someone has post-traumatic stress? What can they do besides the supplements?
Well, there are a lot of different things. There's the emotional freedom technique, which is very effective for some people. And it's the tapping. I don't know if you've ever seen tapping. So you focus on what you want, and then you tap different parts of your face, and it does a neural interrupt. And then certainly hypnosis is very effective for lots and lots of people. Very, very effective. And there are a number of other techniques. The big difference is, are you looking for the solution? It's not for me to give you a list of 70,000 different people and all their phone numbers and all their websites, because the bottom line is we all have internet now. So you could look and you could find a couple of different thoughts and, send me an email. I'll be happy to tell you my personal experience or my opinion. But you have to get busy. You've got to do some work.
Very true. Now, I'm really curious about the answer to this. What do our parents have to do with the addiction of fear?
Just about everything. Don't call them and blame them because it won't help. If it would help, they could do it, but it won't help. So first of all, if you have inherited fear is in your genetic makeup, right? So that might mean that your mother, like mine, is pregnant and frightened. My mother had 15 miscarriages before I was born. So she was obviously scared like crazy that this was going to be, that I was going to turn into number 16, right? And so she was on 7 months of bed rest, so not a lot of distraction. And I was born in 1949. I think they did have a TV, but there wasn't much to watch. So she had nothing to distract her, basically. So for a good part of 7 months, I can tell you, she was lying there, frightened. And I can understand that. I think you probably can too. So you're lying, the baby is lying in a soup with too much adrenaline flowing into it. A lot of adrenaline, and a lot of other negative emotions as well. But we're talking about fear tonight. Now, if you've inherited some sort of biochemical imbalance, fear, anxiety, sadness, grief, whatever it is, now that's who you are. So you're born into this soup. Maybe fear from one and sadness from another, or anger from both, or whatever it is, you know? And so now you've got to do something to change the biochemistry. You've got to really seriously consider the testing, and you've got to really seriously consider whether you want to go on the organic supplements, because it makes a gigantic difference. I mean, it makes all the difference in the world.
Thank you for explaining that it can happen, start right in the womb.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
huge.
Yes.
So no blame or shame on anybody, right?
No,
It
and,
is
you
what
know.
it is. Oh, that's extraordinary. Well, I know that many people suffering with self-destructive behaviors are frightened. And they're frightened about their future, but they go into denial and can't learn better behaviors. So how can you help them?
You know, that's the most difficult of all the people I work with. That's the most difficult. People who are too scared to even be able to look at the facts. If they're angry, you know, anger, if you look at the emotional guidance scale, anger is way above fear, way, way above fear. And so people who are angry are much more likely to be interested in what I can teach them and, you know, teach them to turn their lives around, basically. Even people who are sad tend to be in better shape than people who are terrified. Because people who are sad may not have the same crazy story about money, oh, there isn't any, or there isn't enough, or the world doesn't have enough, or all that wacky stuff, which isn't true. But people who are pervasively terrified, you know, it isn't rational. It isn't because we live in a developing country. We don't. It isn't because we don't have any public assistance. We have so much public assistance. It's just that they're biochemically drifting to fear, and they can't get out of their own way.
What a challenge for you with that. Now, let's explore this. I know that bullying is a huge issue right now in schools these days. And in most schools, I know there's a zero tolerance for bullying. What is the connection between bullies' aggression and fear?
Okay, well, you know this because, you know, Marshall Rosenberg, who originally trained as a therapist and then founded Nonviolent Communication, says and has proven again and again that under anger and rage is always fear. You know, I mean, they knew that 100 years ago, that bullies were always scared and that you have to stand up to a bully. But now we have, you know, proof, because we see that their biochemistry is almost identical to the person who's terrified. They have PTSD as well, which you wouldn't expect. You wouldn't think that the little terrified person, you know, in the schoolyard, you know, shaking in his boots, has got similar biochemistry to the one who's like, you know, huge bully, scary bully. But in fact, they do. So it is a maladaptive behavior based on an adrenal imbalance, a serotonin imbalance, a dopamine imbalance. So an imbalance with the adrenal system and an imbalance with the neurotransmitters, which are the feel-good brain chemicals. If you have feel-good brain chemicals, you know, you're happy. I just went to an event with Howard Wills on Sunday, and you guys know who Howard Wills is. And there was a woman who was sitting there, and she was like this. You know, she had her arms folded, and she was like, you know, and I thought, well, I hope he's going to just blast her quickly. So the rest of us don't have to look at this, you know. And she was the first person he selected. And he started working on her, and in about, I don't know, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, she said the pain in her body was gone, which she'd had for decades. And then he kept working on her, and she started to smile, and she was just a different person. I mean, she loved him, she hugged him, she was saying thank you. You know, it's just beautiful. Yeah, because he changes, we don't know how, but he changes people's genetic makeup.
Thank you, Howard.
That's right, exactly.
Anyone can use help
Yes,
from Howard.
exactly.
There's no doubt.
It was just crazy. So she went from being so scared and so sad and so angry and so miserable. And just being around her was miserable. And I was so happy I was on the other end of the couch from her. And, in, I don't know, 15 minutes, something like that, she was a whole different person.
Oh, my goodness. Well, good. Then people will want to sit next to her on the couch.
That's right. That's right.
Well, are there some techniques that really work to eliminate the fear that people have, even after a tragedy?
Yes. If you master the 4 questions of inquiry based on the work of Byron Katie, but I've really changed it because with Byron Katie, you can stay in that story, and I don't let you stay in that story for more than 5 minutes. Because if you stay in that negative story, you will not enjoy life much. So, the 4 questions are very easy. First, you have to come up with your story. You might be afraid that your husband's going to leave you. You might be afraid that your wife is cheating on you. You might be afraid that you're going to lose your job. You might be afraid of anything, right? So get that story very clear and make it as bad as possible, because that's really what's on your mind, Make it a really, really intense one, You would say, that you're going to be fired before the new year, that kind of a thing. Or, I'm sure you might say, that she's cheating on me tonight. That's why she's not home. So really be intense and be honest with yourself. And then go through the questions. Come out the other side, turn it around. I have no evidence that she is. She told me she was at the grocery store. As far as I know, she's at the grocery store. Instead of going off into these frightening stories. Okay? Or if I do a better job at the office, if I really work hard at the office, I'll keep my job. And there's a possibility of promotion. So you're not anybody's victim, and you don't want to think like one anymore.
I love that. Boy, that's an exercise to practice on for people.
All day, every day. It will eliminate fear in a very short period of time. Because you'll stop making up these negative stories. That's the bottom line. Because long before I made that determination that I was done with fear, I had mastered this exercise and a couple of others. So I knew the stories were nonsense. And then the final step for me was to say, well, that's it. I'm just done with it. No more stories.
In my life, I've made up a lot of stories, Susan.
I'm sure.
In my own head.
I'm sure. And you're still here.
Yeah.
As Bernard says. You're still here. We're still here.
Okay, let's explore. How does self-empathy help people eliminate fear when they do become scared?
It's just another skill that really works. You need to have a bunch of these. You need to have a bunch of these skills that you've mastered. So at 3 a.m, when you wake up and you're feeling scared, and the branches and the trees are out there and it's getting ready for Halloween, you want to be able to say, I'm scared and I need reassurance. And I'm worried and I need stability. And I'm really scared. And I need some information about whatever the situation is. And as we know, it's better to get out of bed at 3:30 in the morning and go on the internet and find the information than it is to lie in bed for 3 more hours until you're in a panic when the sun comes up, right? So you want to be noticing your feeling, which is fear, terror, all of those words. The needs are usually safety, security, stability, support, reassurance, affection, financial stability, all of those. And you do this exercise and you get better and better and better at it. So in the middle of the night or any other time, driving a car, in the shower, washing the dishes, you can do it, and the faster you calm yourself down, the better you feel. So you may say, oh, I know how to do it. In fact, most of my clients tell me that they know how to do it, but when I say show me, they don't. So it's a very interesting thing that people believe they have the skill, but in fact they don't. They either don't have the vocabulary, or they don't realize it's the need word is a positive word and they come up with negative words or something. But the skill, you have to be really good at it in order to get the benefit from it.
I love the fact that you get right to the needs
Yes.
as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
A lot of clarity
Absolutely.
with that. Well, I'm curious now if you would please demonstrate self-empathy in an example where someone is afraid of losing their marriage.
Yes, perfect. Should I be the man or the woman?
Your
Which one?
choice. The woman.
Okay, so to be the woman. Okay. So then imagine that you're afraid of losing your marriage, which means you're not the one who's wanting to lose it, right? So you're afraid of losing your marriage, so you're feeling scared that your need for affection isn't being met. And breathe. And you're feeling worried that your need for connection isn't sufficiently met. And breathe. And you're feeling really disturbed that your need for fun with your partner isn't being met. Breathe. And you're feeling concerned that your need for information may not sufficiently be met. You may not know what's going on. Breathe. And as you see this, you begin to realize a number of things that I, the wife, could be doing that would work better than what I've been doing lying in bed being scared. So if he's not home yet, then obviously this is an opportunity for being very warm, very loving, very affectionate, just adorable when he walks through the door instead of, like the Wicked Witch of the West. So it's wonderful when you calm yourself down with self-empathy. The next step, of course, is to begin to think, what can I do to make the situation better? And that's what you have to focus on.
I love that. Arms open, perhaps.
Yes, yes.
Well, I can see it's time. We ran a little late, but we're going to go into a clip with our dear friend, Reverend Bernard Goodman, and this is going to be on wealth. Please enjoy.
To this station. JP Morgan. I think we told you, and maybe at the Carpus Museum, that you were related to JP Morgan? We did, right? Because Bernard has no memory of anything. Okay. You're going to be building wealth centers on this planet. Wealth centers. And in these wealth centers will be health centers where people can come and get healed from the crap that they've carried with them their whole lives and past lives. And by healing them, you create wealth in them, because when you're healthy, you're wealthy, as opposed to the opposite. And so you're going to be doing that, which is going to require a lot of traveling. I think last night they told you something, you were going to be traveling. They don't tell me anything, just give me the words and give it to you. So you're going to be doing a lot of traveling. I think we're building a dam here. You have a lot of, is that a hint? You're going to have a lot of work ahead of you, traveling all over the world. To quote the movie from Congo, doing good everywhere you go. So that's your future. So they are now ordaining you as a J.P. Morgan of health and wealth for planet Earth. You've now been officially ordained as that. So stick that in your craw and, eat it. Or in your pipe and smoke it. But what that means is you're going to begin to feel the energy of movement traveling through you. And you're going to begin to feel yourself needing to be at certain places all around the globe. And has nothing to do with money. Whatever it takes for you to be there, you will be there. Don't worry about it. Good, you came here. Is hubby coming too? With his thing on his wrist? Good. Because we need his wrist. Okay. what's going to begin to happen probably after you leave here today, for a lot of you, is you're going to begin to feel the new energy of what we're talking about, because it is now official for you to do that. Now, you're not in charge of any of that. So you're not in charge of timing. You're not in charge of where you're going to go, when you're going to go, and all that stuff. But you will be guided into those areas and channeled through you exactly what you're supposed to create in those areas. And whatever you need, whatever you need to create in those areas will be made ready for you. It's almost like the people there will know you're coming. And some of these places will be like in a rainforest. Some of these places will be in Africa where there isn't anything else. Some of these places will be in Japan, in some very low villages, whatever that means. And some of the places will be anywhere else on the planet. So one of the things you're going to be doing, which is interesting because they said this is going to happen. You're going to be giving life to where life isn't. And you will be guided to go exactly where you need when you need to be there for whatever's going on there at the 3D level. And a lot of healing is going to occur when you are there, and you're going to be saving a lot of lives. But what you're also going to be doing is you're going to be repopulating the population. You're going to be regenerating their souls. You're going to be re-enlivening their spirit. And that's going to change everything in those areas where you're going to go, where before you were there, they were dying. So you're going to be bringing new life to people when you go do what you're going to do. So well, that voodoo. Ginny, we don't know how new this is for you or not new this is for you. And you've never seen Bernard in operation as not Bernard. And Bernard is not in charge of any of this, you understand. He may not even be here. Probably out in Cosmos somewhere flying around on his broomstick or something. Anyway, because we gassed his broomstick up. It is not an accident. He may have said this to you already at work. She works with Bernard, by the way. She's about 20 feet away, 30 feet away from him in the same room. They work together at the Navy base. It is not an accident that you got a job there or that they sent you there for what's going on in your life right now. And the changes that are going to be coming and that are already in process for you. But you're going to begin to receive, their words, doctorship of certain qualities that are going to turn you into something more than you have been. These are their words, I can't change their words. And you're going to begin to see things you've never seen before. You're going to begin to know things you never knew before. You're going to become aware of things you never were aware of before. You know, it's very interesting how all the people on this planet, regardless of where they are or how they are, just get to live their lives with whatever's in front of them at the moment. Good or bad, that's all they know is what's in front of them. It is our job to make sure that people on this planet know there's more to them than what's in front of them. And there's more to them than what their conscious mind, or 3D mind, tells them there is. You are going to go through a major metamorphosis, which of course you've already started. And the end result of that is you're going to become the princess you once were. There is, that was a neighbor who was the princess of Atlantis. Well, you know, on Atlantis there were more than one princess, and you were one of the princesses, and you're going to become that again, which is why you're female in this lifetime. It would be very hard to be a princess if you weren't female, although some people can do that. Anyway, so you're going to begin to feel differently about the job you have. Now, you're not going to leave the job because it's supporting you like it does Bernard. And it's giving you the financial wherewithal to still breathe and to exist, as it does for Bernard. But you're going to start giving your money away, like Bernard does. And when you give your money away, it will be directed towards a certain person for a certain function. And we will make sure that the money you need to give away, you will have. And it's not your money anyway. So, there. And it comes from the God Bank, which nobody knows about except those who know about it. And it's not in the Cayman Islands. Close, but not there.
Maybe you can tell me more about what I'm supposed to do.
No, you'll know that. That's a secret, what you're going to do. And you won't tell anybody. You might tell Bernard at work in secret, but you won't tell anybody else at work, okay? Because it'll be a secret. It'll be what they call your God job. Okay, you've received some channelings from Bernard, the written channelings, and use the word God job. We gave him that title, and that's your God job. Bernard has been getting that for a while now, but he hasn't been able to tell you any of this because he didn't know how you would take it, but now he doesn't care. So, yeah.
I've been wanting to do for years.
I know. Well, of course. You know why that is, don't you? So when it shows up, you'll accept it instead of saying no. What is that button? No crossing the street? What is that?
This one?
Yeah.
For the Red Hat Society.
What is the Red Hat Society?
A bunch of ladies who wear red hats and purple clothes and have fun.
In public? Wearing a red hat. Is it invisible? Oh, good. When Artie gets back, we're going to Artie.
Gigi, you and I are so lucky. We've met so many amazing people, Bernard being one of the most extraordinary. And I was just telling you that the woman who did my hair today, Gunilla, has like 10 family members visiting from Sweden and Santa Barbara right now.
Oh my gosh.
And, she happened to do my hair today, and, the family happens to be visiting. So thank you. I love my hair. You did a beautiful job. I appreciate it. So we always are, you and I, always thanking people, appreciating them. That's what keeps us going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing we all need the most of,
Yes.
appreciation.
And Howard says that appreciation is it's not optional. It's not do it if you feel like it. It's that appreciation is one of the number one factors to health and everything else. Health, wealth, love, family, joy, all of it. Appreciation is key. And it's interesting, I was not brought up to appreciate in the same way. In fact, I was brought up that you don't thank the waiter.
Oh my.
It's not appropriate to thank the waiter when the waiter serves you. Emily, whoever.
Yes.
Who was that? Vanderbilt, somebody. But yeah, Emily Post, that's who it was. And wow, it was difficult because I wanted to thank them. It's like you and I are so always paying attention to gratitude and appreciation.
Absolutely. And that does build up people's energy. It
And
really,
our own.
Oh, that too.
And our own, right.
A
Exactly.
gift in all ways. Consider appreciating
Yes.
anything you can about anyone at any time,
Yes.
even yourself.
I appreciate that you didn't remind me. I have my script there. Sorry, guys.
Well, I have little time left with you tonight,
Okay.
so I'd like to get into some
You
more
bet.
questions. I'm excited if you would now demonstrate for us the questions in a situation that someone is terrified about losing their job.
So the 4 questions, and the story is that he's losing his job. So let's imagine I'm somebody, and I'm saying to myself, the boss, and the job, and the salary, and I'm like panicky, right? So question number 1, is it true? Is it true that you're going to lose your job? Well, it feels like it might be true, okay? Question number 2, what evidence do you use when you tell yourself that you're going to lose your job? Well, I'm going to think back to a client some time ago. His boss never smiled at him. His boss was always watching over him. His boss moved his desk so he would be closer to her so she could look at him even more. He didn't like his job. He only took the job because he needed a job quickly. Well, that's probably enough evidence, right? And question number 3, how do you feel when you tell yourself the story that you're going to lose your job by Christmas? Well, he was really, really freaked out. He was really worried. He was scared. He was terrified. Question number 4, how would you feel if you did not believe that that story were true? How would you feel if you no longer believed that you were going to lose your job by Christmas? Well, obviously, you'd feel a whole lot better. So much better, right? And then the turnaround. So one turnaround is, in this guy's case, this guy was able to get jobs like nobody's business. He really got my skills about getting a job. That he mastered very quickly. Keeping a job took him longer. He's been keeping a job now, but that one took him longer. So his story turnaround might be, if I get fired from this job, I'll get another job very quickly, another job that I like even better. That's one turnaround. But a real key for him and for most people who are having these conversations is, I need to figure out exactly what I need to do better and differently to please my boss. Because there's no benefit to anybody if you're in a job and you think you're going to be fired and you're not really improving your performance. Every boss of every company is looking for somebody who comes to work as if it's their own company and works all day hard, seriously, focused, committed, as if it's their own company, gets everything done that has to be done that day, and then goes home and repeats every other day, And that's the case.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Susan. Now I'm curious, how does self-empathy and empathy in a conversation shift fear to cooperation?
Well, if you're angry, sad, and tonight frightened, you're not going to be able to be helpful to anybody else. You're not going to be cooperative. You're going to be scared. You're not going to be friendly. You're going to be scared. You're not going to be sweet and kind to be around. You're going to be scared. So when you do self-empathy, whatever the story is, I'm feeling scared and I really need appreciation. Breathe. I'm feeling worried, because I really need affection. Breathe. Or if it's the job one, I'm really feeling very, very, very concerned because I need this job. Breathe. I'm really, really troubled because I need a great report from my boss because it's the 6-month reporting is coming up. Breathe. And as you focus on what you do need instead of all these negative, fearful thoughts, you start to change your behaviors, don't you? And that's the key.
Oh my, that sounds so smooth. Very easy and productive. Thank you. Now, what about if someone is in a relationship with a partner who drifts into fear? How can we communicate with them to support their inner peace?
Well, first of all, every single relationship, you have to know that this is going to show up at some point. Some point you're going to have to calm your partner down. Now, if you have a really great partner, if he or she are just dolls, like Gigi's a doll. So, you don't have to calm her down much, once a year maybe. But still, once a year, it's the least you could do, right? So if somebody's really anxious, I can really hear. When I hear you say that, I can really hear that you feel very worried because that boss has the ability to fire you or keep you on. And it sounds as if you're really concerned because you've got a big family, you've got to buy a lot of Christmas presents. And I know that this is a career that you love. So I would guess as well that you really want to do well. You really want to get promoted. It's not about just keeping your job. You want to get promoted. Have I understood? And then the person goes, la, 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 right? And then you pick it up from there. Oh, so even more concerned because you've got this vacation time and you want to make sure you use your vacation time, but you don't want to be absent from the office for a while. So you really feel torn. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Blah, 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 blah. And you just keep giving that person more and more empathy, until they are calm, and then the relationship with you and them is back to normal.
I love that. It really works. That's the beauty of it. Now, moving forward, can you please demonstrate empathy for someone who is really scared about health?
Oh, absolutely. And here I am with this cold. So, so if I were going to receive empathy from Gigi, right, because I have this cold, she might say, oh, I can only guess how disappointed you feel that you were feeling so terrific in LA, and now you came back and suddenly you just don't feel as healthy as you did. Yes. And I imagine that being with Howard Wills on Sunday night and feeling fantastic, like $100 million, and then sleeping in LA and coming back and having this hit you, just is really disappointing because you're always healthy, Susan. You always feel great. Is that right? And I would say, yes, that's it. That's exactly it. And, then she might say, can I get you a Kleenex? Can I get you a mint? Can I get you a cup of tea? Like that, right? Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's beautiful empathy. Now, if someone takes, let's say, any supplements for inner peace that they may need and has self-empathy skills and can disconnect from imaginary and fearful stories and give empathy to others, does this mean that they have a life of peace all the time?
Well, you can't control the universe, right? So you can't be sure that 100% of the things are going to go your way. However, when I left Los Angeles on Monday, yesterday morning, I passed 2 horrendous car accidents on the freeway. I mean, horrendous. Really scary stuff. So the first one, giving myself self-empathy, calming myself down, I've taken my supplements, I'm peaceful, I'm just driving really carefully, and off I go. When I came to Camarillo and saw the second accident, there were like 2 weird trucks and a car, and the wheels of the car were off. The driver was still in the driver's seat, and the wheels were off. Okay, now would that not freak you out? I mean, I ask you, right? So now I'm like, okay, I'm really worried because I need to get home safely. I'm really concerned, and I just need to focus on my driving. Breathe. I just really was shocked when I saw that, and I need to clear my mind and just see myself driving nicely and sweetly down the 101 to Santa Barbara and getting home, safe and sound. And I just kept focusing on that. Then I put on Howard's CD, so I did Howard's prayers the rest of the trip, and that was it. And I, obviously I'm here, I'm fine. But you have to be prepared. Something may go a different way from the way you like, and you absolutely have to be able to bring yourself back.
Oh, I love that. The perfect skills, that focusing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I had that horrible car accident many years ago, I'm going to die. Is it true? I did the 4 questions. I'm going to die. Is it true? No, I don't have any evidence that I'm going to die. Okay. Something terrible could happen to me. Is it true? Well, it could, but it's, pay attention and it won't. And I went through all those skills during that car accident. And the car was absolutely totaled. And I was absolutely fine. I did not have a bruise. I did not have anything. My neck was 100% fine. I didn't even get whiplash. in an accident where the car was totaled. That's unheard of. Self-empathy, the 4 questions of inquiry, the supplements if you need it, and do these things so that you've mastered them before you need them, please.
Oh, I love that. What a perfect example. We're
Yeah.
so glad you're safe. We
Yes.
didn't even know about this current story. So, thank you for being here. Well, I'd just like to say thank you for your series of shows that really were about transforming fear, anger, and sadness so that everyone understands how to create a life of peace, health, joy, and success plus love. That's awesome, Susan. And
Thank you.
I know that they can learn these skills from you. That's very important to
Yes, you better learn them from me.
have. The sooner the better really works out because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. No.
Please, please.
And now we're going to go into a few of our announcements for you. The Compassionate Connection show is live every Tuesday night from 8 till 9. And we re-air several times throughout the week. I don't think I can read them all right now. We're just so thrilled. We are now in our 9th year. And we certainly want to share our appreciation of those that enjoy the show and all the informative guests we have, how to make life more wonderful. Now, if you do have some questions, some challenges or concerns, you can contact us at ggmore@cox.net or a phone call even, 805-698-8233. And of course, we're excited to share with you that we have a website, compassionateconnection.tv, so you can check out all of our wonderful guests and what they have to share with us. And also right now with Susan, she has a wonderful, wonderful column in our local Ask the Love and Relationship Coach in the Santa Barbara Family Life magazine. Now, this is available online, sbfamilylife.com. Love to read those when they come out, Susan. It touches on everything that you're capable of. And so if you have enjoyed tonight's show and Susan's skills, of course, you can give Susan a call, Susan, or even an email, susanallen.org, and the phone number for that free gift of 1 complimentary hour is at 805-695-8405. And I would just like to say thank you to everyone here at the studios for their help, and for our personal TV family, our director Fred Winter, couldn't do the show without Fred, and Tyler Geck on technical support and all the little details. Thank you guys, you're awesome. And thank you for viewing with us tonight. Good evening.